Hold on, something has been trying to reach you, and this might be the moment it finally gets through. Because if you're hearing these words right now, it's a sign your situation is not staying the same. Chosen one, let me ask you something. Have you felt like life has been stuck, paused, or moving painfully slow, no matter how hard you tried? If yes, then listen carefully, because that slow season is ending faster than you think. There are moments in life when everything feels blocked, your plans, your progress, your purpose, and you start wondering, what is God doing? Why is nothing moving? But here's what you weren't told. Sometimes heaven holds things still because the timing wasn't right until now. You're stepping into a shift where delays start breaking, confusion starts clearing, and the things that felt out of reach suddenly begin lining up with surprising ease. Something in your spirit already feels it, like a quiet pull, a whisper, a push that says, move forward, your turn is here. Stay with me, because in a moment, you'll understand exactly why God is saying your season of delay is over, and why He wants you to step boldly into your moment right now. When God ends a delay, it isn't just about finally receiving something you've been praying for. It's a shift in the spiritual atmosphere around you. It means the obstacles that once slowed you down no longer have the power to hold you back. You begin to notice things moving that used to stay stuck, and doors that felt sealed finally start opening without the force and frustration you once needed. This kind of shift often feels subtle at first. You may notice a sense of relief, a sudden release of pressure, or even a strange calm that you can't explain. That's usually the first sign that God has started clearing the path ahead of you. It's not a magic moment where everything instantly becomes perfect. Instead, it's a turning point where the energy, timing, and circumstances around you begin working with you instead of against you. Think about moments in your life when things simply refused to move forward, no matter how prepared or motivated you were. That wasn't failure, that was God blocking what wasn't aligned. Now, when that season ends, you'll feel a shift where opportunities appear more naturally, people show up at the right time, and you find yourself saying, this makes sense now. When God ends a delay, He's saying the conditions are ready, your spirit is ready, and the next step won't break you, it will build you. Divine delays don't always feel comforting, but they often save you from situations you couldn't see coming. When God slows something down, it's rarely a rejection, it's protection. There are moments when you ask for something with your whole heart, but God knows the timing, the people involved, or even your own emotional state weren't ready yet. Moving too soon could have led to disappointment, stress, or connections that would drain you. Think of times when you wanted a breakthrough so badly, only to realize later that you weren't prepared for the responsibility that came with it. If that opportunity had arrived earlier, it might have overwhelmed you. Divine delays ensure that what's meant for you arrives in a way that you can sustain, enjoy, and grow from, not just survive. Sometimes the protection is hidden. A job you didn't get, a relationship that didn't progress, or a door that suddenly closed may have felt painful, but it prevented deeper hurt that you couldn't see. God's timing isn't meant to punish you, it's meant to position you. When the delay ends, you'll look back and understand that God wasn't ignoring you. He was guarding every step until the moment you were strong enough, wise enough, and spiritually aligned enough to receive what's truly yours. When your spiritual season changes, it doesn't always come with fireworks. More often, it begins with subtle but unmistakable shifts that let you know something new is unfolding. One of the first signs is that things which once felt heavy or confusing suddenly start to make sense. You may find yourself understanding situations differently, seeing people's intentions more clearly, or feeling a quiet certainty about decisions you used to question. Another sign is the change in your emotional rhythm. You stop feeling drained by things that once bothered you, and you become less reactive to negativity. It's like your spirit outgrows old patterns. Even the things that used to trigger you lose their power because you're stepping into a stronger phase of self-awareness and spiritual maturity. You might also notice an increase in inner nudges, small, persistent feelings pushing you to take action, start something new, or let go of something familiar. These nudges often appear when God is guiding you toward a new level of alignment. A shifted season is also marked by new opportunities showing up unexpectedly. Not everything will fall into your lap, but you'll sense momentum returning. Doors open a little easier. Conversations lead somewhere meaningful. Ideas start flowing again. All of these signs tell you that you're no longer standing in the old chapter. You're being prepared for the next one. There is a very specific moment in life when you can feel things starting to move again, not because you pushed harder, but because heaven finally released the green light. This shift often feels effortless compared to the struggle you had before. The same actions that once brought zero results suddenly begin to work. People respond more positively, opportunities come faster, and situations that were stuck start loosening in unexpected ways. Forward movement from heaven isn't random. It happens when your preparation meets God's timing. You may notice conversations flowing more easily, ideas connecting in ways they didn't before, or resources showing up exactly when you need them. It's almost like the world around you becomes more supportive instead of resistant. This doesn't mean everything becomes perfect overnight. Instead, it means the weight that held you back is lifted. You feel lighter, clearer, and more confident in the steps you're taking. Even if you face challenges, they won't feel impossible anymore because the spiritual go signal has already been given. When heaven releases movement, momentum returns. You're not forcing, chasing, or begging. Things begin aligning naturally, confirming that you're finally stepping into the phase you've been praying for. Before an opportunity ever shows up in your life, God has already been arranging the details behind the scenes. You may not see anything happening, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Many of your blessings require preparation in places you'll never witness, people being positioned, circumstances shifting, and timing being perfected so that everything meets you at the right moment. Think of it this way: when you pray for something, God doesn't just hand you the outcome, He prepares the environment that will support it. The right job requires the right vacancy. The right relationship requires the right healing. The right breakthrough requires the right mindset. If any of those pieces aren't ready, the blessing won't be sustainable. This is why some opportunities feel like they appear out of nowhere. One day you're waiting. The next day, the right person calls, the right door opens, or the right idea comes to you with complete clarity. That sudden shift isn't sudden, it's the moment when everything God arranged finally reaches your path. When you realize this, you stop worrying about the silence. You understand that unseen alignment is still progress. And when the opportunity finally arrives, you'll know it was designed specifically for you because it fits your spirit, your season, and your growth perfectly. One of the strongest indicators that God is moving you into a new season is the sudden return of emotional clarity. It often happens quietly. You wake up one day and realize the heaviness you were carrying isn't as loud anymore. The confusion that used to cloud your decisions starts lifting, and you can finally sense what feels right and what no longer belongs in your life. Emotional clarity doesn't mean you have every answer. It simply means you're no longer drowning in uncertainty. You begin to recognize which situations drain you, which people support you, and which habits no longer serve your growth. It's like fog clearing after a long storm. You can see the path again, and even if it's not perfect, it feels more manageable. This clarity is a gift because it helps you make decisions with confidence instead of fear. You stop second-guessing yourself and start trusting the subtle guidance within you. Things that once felt overwhelming suddenly become simple. This is right for me, this is not. That inner knowing is often God's way of confirming that the season of delay is ending and movement is beginning. When your heart becomes lighter and your thoughts become clearer, it's a sign that you're aligned with God's timing and ready for what's next. When God is preparing to elevate you, certain people naturally begin to fade out of your life. It can feel confusing at first, especially if you thought those individuals would be part of your future. But their absence is often a sign that God is clearing space for the next level He's bringing you into. Not everyone has the capacity, maturity, or intention to walk with you into your breakthrough. Sometimes people leave because their season in your story is complete. They played their part, taught you something, or helped you grow, and now the connection no longer aligns with where you're heading. Other times, their energy, habits, or mindset would interfere with the blessings God is trying to release. Elevation requires stability, and God will remove anyone who could disrupt the foundation He's building in you. You may notice distance growing slowly or communication fading without conflict. It's not rejection, it's redirection. As you rise spiritually, you outgrow relationships that were tied to your old identity, old struggles, or old patterns. And while it may feel uncomfortable, it's actually protection. God removes the wrong voices so you can clearly hear the right instructions. He clears the wrong people so the right support system can step in. And when the elevation finally arrives, you'll understand why certain people couldn't go with you. When God is shifting your life into a new season, your intuition becomes noticeably sharper. You start sensing things before they happen, not in a dramatic way, but in small, convincing moments. You may feel a sudden urge to pause, to reach out to someone, to try something new, or to walk away from something that once felt familiar. These inner signals are not random. They're spiritual confirmations guiding you toward the path God has prepared. This heightened intuition often shows up as a quiet knowing. You can't always explain it, but you feel it. A situation might look fine on the outside, yet something inside you whispers, "This isn't for you anymore." Or an opportunity might seem risky, but your spirit nudges you forward, saying, "This is the direction you need to take." Pay attention to these nudges. They're usually stronger during seasons when God is ending delay and opening new doors. Your inner guidance becomes more accurate because you're more spiritually aligned, more aware, and more receptive to divine direction. This intuitive clarity helps you avoid distractions and recognize which opportunities truly belong to you. When your intuition starts speaking louder and more confidently, it's a powerful sign that God is preparing you to step into movement, progress, and purpose with greater wisdom. One of the clearest signs that your season of delay is ending is when motivation begins to return, often unexpectedly. You may have spent months feeling drained, unproductive, or uninterested in things you once cared about. That wasn't laziness. It was spiritual exhaustion from carrying too much for too long. But when God is ready to move you forward, something inside you begins to wake up again. You'll notice a new spark, even if it's small at first. Ideas that once felt overwhelming start to feel exciting. Tasks you avoided suddenly seem doable. You may feel an urge to organize your life, clean your space, revisit old goals, or finally take action on something you kept postponing. This shift isn't forced. It flows naturally, almost like your mind and spirit are catching their breath after a long season of heaviness. This renewed motivation is God's way of preparing you for the opportunities ahead. He won't open doors you don't have the energy to walk through. So when your drive starts returning, it's a sign that your strength is being restored for a purpose. This is the moment when forward movement becomes possible again. The fire you thought was gone is actually reigniting, reminding you that you're stepping into a chapter where your effort will finally lead to visible progress. A major sign that your season of delay is ending is when the things that once felt like breakdowns start revealing themselves as breakthroughs in disguise. You may have gone through moments where everything seemed to fall apart, relationships ended, plans collapsed, opportunities slipped away, or you felt pushed to your limit emotionally and spiritually. At the time, it felt like failure, but those breaking points were actually clearing away what couldn't support your next chapter. Breakdowns often show up right before a shift because they remove the structures, habits, and connections that no longer match where God is taking you. Think about how many times you cried over something that, in the end, redirected you to something better. You didn't lose, you were repositioned. As the season changes, you begin to see the purpose behind the struggle. The thing that hurt you now teaches you, the closed door now protects you, the disappointment now motivates you. And the moment you realize this, the heaviness lifts. What once felt like destruction becomes the foundation for something stronger. Your breakthrough doesn't always arrive with celebration. Sometimes it begins quietly, with clarity, release, or a new beginning that grows from the ashes of what fell apart. When you start seeing meaning in what once broke you, it's a powerful sign that God is leading you into the breakthrough you were prepared for. Redirection is one of the strongest ways God guides you. even when it feels uncomfortable at first. When something doesn't go the way you planned, when a door closes, a path stops working, or a situation suddenly shifts, it's easy to think you've made a mistake. But often, that change in direction is God pulling you away from something that would have held you back or slowed your growth. Redirection doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it shows up as losing interest in something you once wanted. Other times, it appears when you try to move forward, but everything feels unusually blocked. You may not understand why, but the moment you step away, clarity comes. You realize it wasn't aligned with who you're becoming. Think about the times you wanted something desperately, only to find out later that it would have limited you. God removes what is temporary so He can guide you toward what is meant to last. What feels like a detour is actually protection and alignment working together. When you notice your focus shifting, your priorities changing, or your spirit pulling you in a new direction, pay attention. That's often God's way of saying, "This isn't your path anymore. I have something better waiting." Redirection is not a setback. It's preparation for the place where your purpose will finally flourish. A powerful sign that your season of delay is ending is when blessings begin to appear faster than you anticipated. These moments often catch you off guard, not because you're unworthy, but because you've grown so used to waiting that quick breakthroughs feel almost unreal. Yet this sudden flow is one of the clearest indicators that God has shifted your timeline. These blessings don't always arrive in dramatic ways. Sometimes they show up as a message you've been hoping to receive, a door opening without effort, or an opportunity that aligns perfectly with your needs. Other times, it's someone offering help, a problem resolving itself, or a situation improving without you having to push. What makes these blessings special is their timing. They show up right when you felt drained, discouraged, or ready to give up. It's God's way of reminding you that nothing was lost, it was simply being prepared for the right moment. These rapid blessings also confirm that your faith wasn't wasted. Every prayer, every tear, every moment of waiting wasn't in vain. When things start moving quickly, it's a sign that the delay has ended and the release has begun. When blessings start arriving unexpectedly, don't question them. Receive them with gratitude because they are proof that God is moving things into place exactly when you need them. One of the clearest signs that God has shifted your season is the quiet return of inner peace, especially after you've spent months or even years battling confusion, anxiety, or emotional heaviness. This peace doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't come with big announcements. It shows up gently, almost unnoticed, like a calm settling over parts of your life that used to feel chaotic. You may catch yourself reacting differently. Things that used to stress you may no longer have the same power. Situations that once triggered you now feel easier to navigate. Instead of overthinking every step, you start trusting yourself more. That shift is not accidental, it's spiritual alignment. Inner peace arrives when God has removed the weight you weren't meant to carry. It's the sign that the storm inside you is passing and your spirit is entering a more stable, grounded state. This peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of clarity. It means you're no longer wrestling with your direction, your worth, or your purpose. You may still have questions about the future, but you no longer feel lost. You feel steady, you feel supported, you feel guided. That calmness is God's confirmation that the season of delay is ending and that you're ready to move into a phase where your decisions come from confidence, not confusion. Inner peace is the doorway to the next chapter, and when it arrives, you'll know you're stepping into something better. A major sign that your season of delay is ending is when you naturally start letting go of things that once felt comfortable but no longer feel right for you. This release isn't forced. You simply wake up one day realizing you don't want to carry certain patterns anymore. The overthinking, the self-doubt, the people-pleasing, the staying stuck in places where you've already outgrown yourself. Old habits begin to lose their grip because your spirit is preparing for a higher level of responsibility and blessing. You may notice yourself pulling back from routines that drain your energy or stepping away from environments that no longer support your growth. What once felt normal now feels heavy, and you can't ignore it anymore. Fears also begin to fade. They don't disappear overnight, but their voice becomes weaker. You stop worrying as much about what others think, and you become more focused on what feels aligned for your future. This shift is a sign that God is strengthening your faith, helping you trust the path ahead instead of clinging to what feels familiar. Most importantly, you release attachments to people, timelines, expectations, and outcomes that no longer match your spiritual direction. You stop holding onto things out of fear of loss and start making decisions from a place of self-worth. This release creates space for new blessings, new relationships, new confidence, and new opportunities. When you begin letting go without resistance, it's a powerful indication that God is preparing you for the next version of your life. When God is preparing you for your next season, He often begins by removing anything that would block your progress. This process can feel uncomfortable because it usually involves losing things you thought you needed, certain friendships, habits, environments, or even opportunities you once prayed for. But this clearing isn't punishment, it's preparation. There are people who were meant for who you were, but not for who you're becoming. There are routines that fit your old season, but would slow you down in your new one. There are attachments that felt safe, but would limit the growth God is calling you into. So, He gently separates you from anything that can't support the blessings ahead. You may notice relationships fading naturally, interests shifting, or your spirit feeling uncomfortable in places where you once felt at home. This isn't a sign that something is wrong, it's a sign that something is changing. God is removing noise, distractions, and spiritual weight that could interfere with your elevation. Every time something exits your life during this process, it creates room for something better to enter. What leaves you isn't meant to carry the next chapter, and what stays with you is what has the capacity to grow with you. When God clears out what can't go forward, trust that He's protecting the version of you He's building, the version that's ready for your breakthrough. As your season of delay ends, you'll start feeling a strong internal push, a sense that it's finally time to move, change something, or step into a direction you've been avoiding. This feeling can show up as restlessness, a sudden burst of courage, or an unexplainable urge to act on something you've put off. It's not pressure, it's spiritual prompting. You may notice ideas coming to you more frequently, or you may feel uncomfortable staying in the same routine. Even simple things begin to bother you if they don't match the future you're stepping into. This is often God nudging you out of stagnation and into forward motion. Sometimes the push comes through opportunities appearing that force you to make a decision. Other times, it comes through clarity, a knowing that if you don't act now, you'll miss something important. God doesn't want you stuck in preparation forever. He wants you to use the strength, wisdom, and insight you've gained during the delay. This internal push is not random. It shows up when you're ready mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to handle what comes next. When you feel that urge to take the next step, don't ignore it. It's a sign that the door is open and the path ahead is calling you to walk confidently into your new season. A powerful sign that your season of delay is ending is when certain doors finally open, and this time, they don't require the same exhausting effort you've put in before. You'll notice things beginning to flow with a kind of ease you aren't used to. Situations that once felt impossible suddenly become reachable. People who were unresponsive become supportive. Paths that used to feel blocked begin clearing on their own. This ease doesn't mean you won't have to work, but it means you won't have to force things anymore. In the past, you may have pushed, begged, tried every strategy, or prayed endlessly just to see small progress. Now, opportunities that never moved an inch suddenly shift in your favor without you having to fight for them. This is what happens when God's timing aligns with your readiness. Your effort and His alignment meet in the same place, making the next step feel natural instead of draining. You might get a call back you weren't expecting, clarity on a decision you were struggling with, or a new opportunity that fits perfectly into your life. When doors open effortlessly, it's not luck, it's divine timing. It's confirmation that the waiting season has served its purpose, and now God is ushering you into a phase where progress comes with grace, not frustration. This ease is your sign, you're finally in the right place at the right time for the right blessing. As God brings you out of delay, subtle but powerful signs begin to appear that show your promise is finally approaching. These signs aren't always dramatic. Sometimes they show up quietly, almost softly, like small hints that something good is getting ready to unfold. One sign is increased alignment. Things that once felt scattered start coming together in surprising ways. Conversations lead to new connections, opportunities match your goals more closely, and timing begins to make sense again. It feels as if life is gently guiding you towards something meaningful. Another sign is a growing sense of expectation. You might not know what's coming, but you can feel something shifting. There's a spark inside that wasn't there before, a sense that breakthrough is near. This inner confidence isn't imagined, it's spiritual preparation. You may also notice patterns changing around you. Old cycles break. Stagnant areas suddenly move. People show up at the right time with information, support, or encouragement you needed. Even small blessings begin appearing more consistently, almost like previews of what's on the way. These signs are God's reminders that the promise isn't far off, it's approaching. And when you start seeing these hints repeatedly, it's a message that what you've prayed for is not only possible, but closer than you ever expected. When God ends a season of delay, your next chapter requires a different version of you, one that's grounded, intentional, and spiritually aware. Preparing for this step starts inward. It begins with making space mentally and emotionally. Clear out the doubts that used to control you, question the old beliefs that kept you stuck, and open your heart to new possibilities. Preparation also means strengthening your spiritual routines. Whether that's prayer, reflection, or simply quiet moments with God, these practices help keep you aligned with His direction. In this new season, you're not just reacting to life, you're learning to move with purpose. It's also important to become more selective about the voices you listen to. Not everyone can offer you clarity or support. Surround yourself with people and environments that lift your energy instead of draining it. Your next step requires peace, not chaos. Finally, preparation includes taking small actions that reflect faith. You don't need to see the entire path, just the first step. Making progress, even in tiny ways, sends a message to God that you're ready for what He's releasing. Spiritual readiness isn't perfection, it's willingness. When you prepare your heart and mindset, you position yourself to receive the blessings waiting ahead. Stepping into your moment requires you to think differently than you did during your season of delay. In the past, you may have operated from survival mode, doubting yourself, expecting disappointment, or assuming things would always take longer than they should. But when God says your delay is over, your mindset has to rise to match the new season. This shift begins with believing that you deserve what's coming, not because of perfection, but because of growth. You've learned, healed, endured, and matured. Now you must allow yourself to receive without guilt, fear, or hesitation. Another part of this mindset shift is taking responsibility for your next step. Instead of waiting for signs or wondering if you're ready, you start acting with confidence. You stop shrinking yourself to fit old environments. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop letting fear speak louder than faith. Walking into your moment also means letting go of the "what if it goes wrong" thoughts and replacing them with "what if this is exactly what God wanted for me?" This shift opens the door to possibilities you couldn't access before. When your mindset changes, your choices change. And when your choices change, your whole path transforms. This is the mental upgrade God calls you to, the one that allows you to walk boldly, peacefully, and confidently into the life aligned with your purpose. Chosen one, if you're still here, it's because your spirit knows this message was meant for you. Your season of delay is ending. And everything you've walked through has prepared you for the moment you're stepping into right now. God didn't forget you. He was shaping you, strengthening you, and positioning you for the kind of breakthroughs that don't fade, they elevate your entire life. As you move forward, remember this: nothing that was delayed is lost. What belongs to you is finding its way with clarity, purpose, and divine timing. You're stepping into a chapter where your efforts finally bear fruit, your confidence grows, and your path becomes brighter than anything behind you. Thank you for watching Wisdom Crest. If this message spoke to your heart, let me know in the comments how you're stepping into your new season. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your experiences, or even the shift you feel happening inside you. Before you go, speak this affirmation out loud and type it in the comments to claim it. My delay is over, my moment has begun. Your new chapter starts now, and I'm grateful to walk this journey with you. Keep going, God is moving.